Welcome to the European Business and Nature Summit. Welcome to all of you in the room and to those of you who are watching on the live webcast. Together there are hundreds of us participating in this event, and we'd like to thank you for your participation. My name is Eva Zabey, and I am the Executive Director of the Business for Nature Coalition, which aims to unify and strengthen the business voice for nature. It is my absolute honor to moderate this summit, and I would like to thank the many people that have made this event possible. The co-organizers, the European Commission's European Business and Biodiversity Platform, EcoAXA, Fundación Empresa y Clima, Fundación Biodiversidad from the Ministry for Ecological Transition, through the Spanish Business and Biodiversity Initiative. Is anyone counting how many times I'm saying these words? The Ministry of the Environment and Climate of Finland, and of course our hosts, a name impossible for an English speaker like me to pronounce correctly, CaixaForum Madrid. So thank you very much. If you've been in this area for a while, I hope you feel the same thing that I do. Over the past 6 months, nature has risen rapidly up the political, business, and public agenda. The interest and momentum around nature and the planet is palpable. But it's not enough. We've got to move from individual action to collective delivery, and we've got to move from voluntary actions to mandatory regulation, in my view, so that we can actually scale up and make nature a material issue for businesses around the world. So that's why we're here today. That's why we need to work together. Financial performance is irrelevant on a dead planet. In fact, none of us can live on a dead planet. So as your moderator for this summit, my task is, of course, to energize you and keep us on time. But it's also to make you feel responsible for all of the actions we do every day, because together we can do so much more than on our own. The European Business and Nature Summit has some clear objectives, which are really to strengthen the role of business in supporting nature conservation and sustainable use. And over the next day and a half, we're going to learn from each other, we're going to engage, we're going to celebrate what's working, and we're going to challenge each other to see what else needs to be done and what else is missing. Today, the focus will really be on the role of business and finance, and then tomorrow we're going to focus more on public-private alliances and innovation that really drive business action. We're also going to keep this event as interactive as possible, and those who know me know that I like to clap a lot, but we're also going to be using something called Slido. So on the screen now, please, first of all, you need to connect to the right Wi-Fi by choosing one of the two options on the screen now. I'm asking you to take your mobile devices out, not so you can check your emails and you're already bored by this event. That is not acceptable. We're going on Slido because we want to ask you, why are you here? So I'm going to give you a few seconds to try and figure this out, especially those in the room. So slido.com, and then there's the identifier, which is #BusinessNatureSummit. And we're in the auditorium, in case you hadn't noticed. The question is, why are you here? Possible answers can be, I don't know, or my boss told me to, or I think I'm in the wrong room, or I wish I never came. So here you are, 3 words each. Let's see, why are you here in this room today? To make networking, creating momentum, good. That's going to happen. There are a number of coffee breaks and breakout sessions to learn. All right, guys, we're waking up here. Let's go. 3 people in this room. You win a prize for being the first ones. Oh, we need to go back. We need to go back. So Back a step, please, to the slide that tells us how to connect. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, take two. I'd like a few thumbs up when you've actually got online and you're answering the question, please. We've got 1, 2, yeah, 3. People online answering the question, you're connected. We've got some in the back there. Good, 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 good. Okay, got about half the room now. We can try again. Okay, let's go to the answer slide, please, with the responses. There we go. So, science targets. Yes, a lot of discussion about how can we get to the science-based targets for nature like we do for climate, the ultimate cocktail discussion starter. To learn about biodiversity coming up there. For my kids' future, again, making it a bit personal and emphasizing the responsibility. All right, so I think with these words, we're all pretty much aligned in the sense of responsibility and also this opportunity to learn and to engage and to share solutions. And that's exactly what we have in store for you today. But to kick off, we are going to start with 2 short plenary sessions. The first is going to be a series of absolutely distinguished speakers for you today, exceptionally for you today, and those on the line. I have the honor of inviting, first of all, Mr. Hugo Morán Fernández, State Secretary for Environment at the Ministry of Ecological Transition in Spain. Muchas gracias. Tiene la palabra.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Spain. Bienvenidos a Madrid. Bienvenidos a Madrid y a esta Cumbre Europea de Empresas y Naturaleza. Es un honor representar al Ministerio para la Transición Ecológica en este evento y es un honor que este evento se celebre en Madrid en el marco de la Semana del Madrid de Capital Natural para impulsar y visibilizar la contribución del sector empresarial a la conservación de la biodiversidad y los ecosistemas. Esta cumbre es un excelente punto de encuentro para trabajar en el refuerzo de la colaboración entre el sector público y el sector privado y hacer frente conjuntamente a la pérdida de biodiversidad y al cambio climático. Como saben, España es uno de los países europeos con mayor biodiversidad. Alberga una extraordinaria riqueza de especies y alrededor de un 30% de su área está bajo alguna figura de protección. Por ello, somos perfectamente conscientes de la importancia de conservar adecuadamente esta riqueza natural como base fundamental para el desarrollo de nuestra sociedad. Porque el desarrollo social y económico y el bienestar humano dependen intrínsecamente de la gestión sostenible de los recursos naturales de nuestro planeta. Un medio ambiente sano es, por tanto, la base insustituible de nuestra salud y nuestra calidad de vida. Asimismo, la actividad económica y empresarial depende, en buena medida, de la biodiversidad y de los servicios que prestan los ecosistemas. Y el sector empresarial es cada vez más consciente tanto de los efectos de sus actividades sobre la biodiversidad como de su dependencia de los recursos naturales. Pese a ello, nuestro planeta se enfrenta hoy a un gran reto: revertir la pérdida de biodiversidad. La reciente evaluación global sobre la biodiversidad y el estado de los servicios de los ecosistemas de la Plataforma Intergubernamental de Biodiversidad y Servicios de los Ecosistemas ha confirmado que en los últimos 50 años la biodiversidad y los servicios de los ecosistemas se están deteriorando en todo el mundo, a un ritmo desconocido en todo el registro geológico. pero esta evaluación ha dejado también claro que todavía es posible conservar, restaurar y utilizar la naturaleza de manera sostenible y alcanzar simultáneamente otras metas sociales y económicas, si se impulsan con urgencia, iniciativas coordinadas que promuevan un cambio transformador. Uno de los aspectos clave destacados en el informe es precisamente la necesidad de mejorar la sostenibilidad del sistema económico y financiero. Para ello es preciso garantizar la adecuada consideración en la toma de decisiones de cualquier nivel de los servicios de los ecosistemas. El reto al que nos enfrentamos es tal que solo puede afrontarse mediante acciones decididas, conjuntas y coordinadas con la participación de todos los actores, los gobiernos, la sociedad civil, la ciencia, la ciudadanía y, obviamente, también el sector empresarial. Cualquier entidad u organización, independientemente de cuál sea su tamaño, de cuál sea su sector de actividad, puede poner en marcha acciones para tomar en consideración sus efectos sobre la biodiversidad. Tanto las administraciones como las organizaciones empresariales pueden ser un motor de cambio fundamental por la amplia relevancia que sus decisiones tienen en toda la sociedad. Esta fuerza motriz puede ser aún más eficaz cuando empresas y gobiernos trabajan de forma coordinada y sinérgica. Por ello, el desarrollo de iniciativas y alianzas de colaboración entre el sector público y el sector privado en materia de conservación de la biodiversidad resultan fundamentales para avanzar. En el convencimiento de que la conservación de la biodiversidad solo puede alcanzarse mediante la participación de todos los sectores de la sociedad, la Iniciativa Española de Empresas y Biodiversidad, coordinada por la Fundación Biodiversidad del Ministerio para la Transición Ecológica, persigue tres objetivos básicos: integrar el capital natural en la gestión empresarial, mostrar cómo la actividad de las grandes empresas ha de ser compatible con la biodiversidad y canalizar fondos privados para ayudar a preservar la biodiversidad. El sector empresarial es cada vez más consciente de la relevancia que para el propio sector tiene la protección y la conservación de la biodiversidad. La degradación de la biodiversidad y de los servicios de los ecosistemas conlleva importantes riesgos para las empresas y organizaciones, por ejemplo, en materia de responsabilidad corporativa y de reputación empresarial, posicionamiento en el mercado u otras posibles implicaciones financieras. Además, las organizaciones empresariales y financieras dependen, en mayor o menor medida, de la biodiversidad y los servicios de los ecosistemas para la producción de bienes y servicios en los que se basan sus actividades. Por tanto, la pérdida de biodiversidad puede tener implicaciones en las operaciones comerciales y las cadenas de valor, por ejemplo, aumentando los costos de los insumos. Por otro lado, la conservación, el uso sostenible y la restauración de la biodiversidad pueden generar nuevas e interesantes oportunidades de negocio. Por todo ello, es fundamental seguir profundizando en el conocimiento, identificación y medición de estas interdependencias, a fin de mejorar la capacidad de las empresas para gestionar y prevenir los riesgos relacionados con la biodiversidad, aprovechando al mismo tiempo nuevas oportunidades de negocio que pueden surgir asociadas a este campo. Es preciso, por tanto, seguir avanzando en el desarrollo y aplicación de instrumentos y metodologías para ayudar a las empresas a evaluar y a medir sus impactos, sus dependencias y sus riesgos en materia de biodiversidad. De este modo, las organizaciones empresariales y financieras podrán mejorar la integración de los factores relacionados con la biodiversidad en la toma de decisiones empresariales, estratégicas y de inversión. Instrumentos como la evaluación de impacto y gestión de riesgos, los sistemas de diligencia debida y la responsabilidad social corporativa, la elaboración y divulgación de informes externos, la definición de buenas prácticas, los sistemas de reconocimiento y certificación voluntarios y la comunicación empresarial pueden ser de gran importancia en este sentido. El sector empresarial ya está realizando acciones y contribuciones importantes en materia de conservación de biodiversidad, por ejemplo, mediante la elaboración de estrategias de conservación de biodiversidad o acciones de restauración ecológica. Son cada vez más las empresas y organizaciones que están adoptando compromisos voluntarios específicos en materia de biodiversidad, pero es preciso seguir impulsando y mejorar la visibilidad y el reconocimiento de estas iniciativas empresariales. En este sentido, durante los próximos meses nos encontramos ante una ocasión única para reforzar y visibilizar la aportación del sector empresarial a los objetivos de conservación y uso sostenible de la biodiversidad. El próximo año, en la 15ª reunión de la Conferencia de las Partes de Diversidad Biológica en China, está previsto adoptar el Marco Global de Diversidad Biológica para el periodo posterior a 2020. En el diseño del marco, tanto europeo como internacional, en materia de biodiversidad para el periodo posterior a 2020, la Unión Europea debe participar con un claro liderazgo y ambición en los debates para la elaboración del marco global sobre biodiversidad para ese periodo, impulsando la adopción de objetivos y metas ambiciosos que permitan responder al importante y urgente reto al que nos enfrentamos como sociedad. España está dispuesta a poner en marcha su aportación en ese liderazgo. Sin duda, los debates de estos días en esta convocatoria sobre empresas y biodiversidad contribuirán a movilizar compromisos y aportaciones por parte del sector empresarial, que podrán servir a su vez de inspiración y referencia para los próximos objetivos globales en materia de biodiversidad. En consecuencia, estaremos atentos a las conclusiones de sus debates y de sus diálogos. Muy buenos días y buenas jornadas. Gracias.
Momento. Un momento, por favor. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. I have a question for you. Thank you for your position. I think you underlined how basically the environment underpins everything in society and our economic system, and the urgency and business decision-making. But I have one question for you that I'm going to ask everyone afterwards on Slido and the other speakers, so it's fair, which is, if you had a magic wand to change the way business works today, what would it do? And you can feel relaxed in this environment, yeah.
Yes.
It's a hard question.
Bueno, primero, no hay soluciones mágicas. No existen las soluciones mágicas. Existe la capacidad de asumir el mensaje del conjunto de la sociedad en el sentido de responder a las expectativas que la ciudadanía dirige tanto a los gobiernos como al sector empresarial, que forma parte de las estructuras que mueven el desarrollo de todos y cada uno de los países. Cooperación que debe de producirse dentro de los países y en el marco internacional. Cierto que no vivimos buenos momentos en el marco de la concertación internacional. La COP25 es una demostración de ello, pero no debemos de atender tanto a los que no están dispuestos a comprometerse con el planeta, sino a cooperar con aquellos que sí tienen asentados esos compromisos para rescatar a los que aún no tienen en estos momentos asumida su responsabilidad para con el conjunto del planeta.
Muchas gracias. It's a good answer. Muchas gracias. Thank you, and now the other speakers will know what to expect as their follow-up question. Thank you so much, Mr. Fernandez. It's now my great honor to introduce Mrs. Terhi Lehtonen, who's the Secretary of State for the Ministry of Environment and Climate of Finland. And I'm going to try this. Kiitos teidän verhenne. Over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to thank Hugo for his inspiring words and for his government for hosting this year's European Business and Nature Summit in a lovely Madrid. I am delighted to be able to welcome you all on behalf of the Finnish Presidency of the EU and the Finnish Ministry of the Environment. This year's theme, Building Action for Nature and People, reflects the Biodiversity Super Year 2020 just around the corner, and the urgency of action given the colossal risks to our humanity that are involved. In the coming months, we will need to build momentum for the global community to be able to rise to the occasion at the COP15 of the Convention on Biological Diversity. We must agree in Kunming a new post-2020 global biodiversity framework which is able to tackle the planetary scale of loss of biodiversity and natural capital. Colleagues, the science on climate change is clear. The IPCC has again this year delivered us with reports on the urgency of action to reduce emissions and strengthen land carbon sink and the impacts of climate change on oceans and cryosphere. The IPBS, which is the global reference body as regards science on biodiversity and ecosystems, has also issued a report this year, the IPBS Global Assessment, which also Hugo already mentioned. I would like to highlight some key messages from that report here. First, nature and its vital contributions to people are deteriorating worldwide. Second, both direct and indirect drivers of change have accelerated during the past 50 years. And finally, the current goals for conserving and sustainably using nature cannot be met with current trajectories, and future goals for 2030 and beyond can only be achieved through transformative change. I would like to pause on the last words, transformative change. The IPCC and IPBS define transformative change as fundamental, system-wide reorganization across technological, social, economic, and social factors, including our paradigms, goals, and values. And let me stress that this transformative change is required to support long-term sustainable development, or any development beyond a few decades at this rate. We don't have the luxury to ask for this change just to protect the intrinsic value of nature anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we still have an uphill struggle to spread the understanding of the scale of the natural capital challenge. I would like to share with you some results of our recent survey, Sustainability in Finland 2019, where we inquired CEOs and sustainability directors or managers of 1,000 largest companies in Finland about the importance they attach to climate and biodiversity issues and how they see global environmental and other challenges should be addressed. According to the survey, climate change and greenhouse gas emissions are already in the focus of companies. Only 8% of the respondents, however, mentioned biodiversity as a very important focus area. Another important result of the survey was that, according to companies, global challenges such as climate change, loss of biodiversity, and human rights issues should be solved primarily through legislation and international treaties. The respondents saw voluntary action by companies and consumers as a secondary solution to global challenges. I feel as policymakers we must draw courage from these messages when we struggle with resistance towards legislation or entering into international commitments. We must not lose sight of the forest for the trees, if you allow me, coming from the most forested country in the EU. The survey results should not be interpreted to belittle voluntary action either. Example shown by frontrunners is often a crucial precursor for getting action off the ground. While voluntary action alone will not be sufficient, as best practice, it is helping global community find paths towards the transformative change needed. I hope this year's Business and Nature Summit will provide a good opportunity to network, partner, and exchange ideas towards an economy that is net positive for biodiversity and climate. One more message, friends, that I would like to put forward this morning. Climate change and biodiversity loss are inseparable threats to humankind and must be addressed together. We know that economic activities are drivers of both climate change and global loss of natural capital. Economic actors are also crucial for providing solutions to reverse these challenges. We need the ingenuity of businesses and entrepreneurs in order to transform to climate-neutral societies that are net positive for biodiversity. In an effort to limit climate change to 1.5 degrees, immediate action is needed to protect and enhance carbon sinks on land and in the oceans. Supporting biodiversity and ecosystems is probably the most effective and cost-effective climate action. Nature-based solutions are key to helping communities adapt to the impacts of climate change already upon us. They also represent a third of the most cost-effective mitigation potential in the 2030 timeframe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining this year's European Business and Biodiversity Summit and for your engagement in the process of transforming our economy to fit our planetary boundaries. I would like to encourage and urge the business community colleagues amongst us to raise your voice and make yourself heard also in the forthcoming negotiations on the post-2020 Global Biodiversity Framework to be concluded in Kunming next year. We will need your voice to skyrocket the business case for biodiversity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope that this event and all the future events will give you as policymakers around the world that courage and the comfort that what we're asking for in this transformational change is grounded in the reality of business today. But thank you for your inspiring words. And yes, now is the question for the magic wand. It's a tricky one, and everyone in the room is going to answer it too. So if you did have a magic wand to change the way business works today, what would it do?
I think quite simply,
Yes.
If I had the magic wand, I would use it to make climate neutral and biodiversity net positive the new norm of making business.
Excellent.
For that to be the new norm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, inspiring words for some policymakers and leaders in government that we've already heard from Spain and Finland. And now it's my great pleasure to introduce Thomas, Mr. Thomas Verheye, Principal Advisor of Green Finance and Investment at the European Commission. Thomas, the floor is yours.
Good morning, all. It's the second time I was figuring out that I have the honor and pleasure of opening your Business and Biodiversity Summit. And I have to say, every step I was taking in the building, it gave me even more energy, more and more. So first of all, thanks are in place, not least for our Spanish Excellency and hosts and supporters, our Finnish Excellency, representing the EU presidency here today as well, our organizers, colleagues, and panelists, and perhaps just a special thanks to Lars, our colleague Jan and Jérôme for doing a great job, and then David and Ecological for really making this happen. Eva, you're always on my top list, you know that. Anyway, most of all, also thank you to you all for traveling here and for combining forces, everything we need to do today. So those speaking before me were already fairly clear, and there will be many more speaking later that will confirm and elaborate on the opportunities that we have, including our Director General, Mr. Calleja, who will join us tomorrow and on whose behalf I wish you all welcome here. Yes, we're living in very interesting times. Opportunities for moving the environmental agenda and business biodiversity in particular have probably never been better for many years in the past. That doesn't mean everything will go easy and unchecked. So we have to use the Green Deal and the COP15 momentum wisely. Let's find solutions that work for the planet and the people, as well as the business and the economy. This meeting brings together the people that can do it. I was just thinking the Business and Biodiversity platform is really a success, I think, and we're certainly not at the end. I think we're now gathering over 400 or 500 people, and when we started off 5 years ago, I think we were less than 100. So we're growing at, I gather, around about 20% annually, which makes a lot of businesses jealous. So again, let's combine force. A few reflections, nevertheless, before we get us going. I always say, think about nature, think natural capital, think about the chair with the 4 legs. Those who know me will probably already be bored, but that's what I learned from you all. To protect nature, always count to 4 is what I advise my colleagues not in the environment sector. Air, water, land, biodiversity, total check. Spend time and money wisely. Reduce impacts, don't shift them around. Think holistic, systemic, abandon piecemeal, escape silos. I always say we talk a lot about green and green finance, etc. We're at 1% of the market volume today. We have promised 100. There's a steep curve to be done, and therefore we need to act really, really fast and together. Another way of putting it, we will focus the next 2 days on biodiversity a lot. A Green Deal flagship, no doubt. But whilst developing solutions in that area, keep thinking about the other components of the Green Deal, including climate, of course, zero pollution, which is new jargon in Europe for water and air pollution to be tackled, use, efficiency, circular economy, but also new industrial strategies and economy that work for people. And on the latter, there are a few words in the political guidelines issued by our President-elect, Ms. von der Leyen, that I particularly like, and they talk about proofing our economy. I'm not entirely sure they were written with that purpose in mind, but it matches the sense of purpose and operational logic of the Natural Capital Protocol, and all that are directly and indirectly inspired by it. Future-proofing is about identifying to what extent the economy, and by extension our business, is dependent on the abundantly available natural capital and related ecosystem services, in short, the environment. For years in a row, the World Economic Forum suggests that all natural capital is at risk, not only climate, that all components are closely interlinked, and that those in turn are jeopardizing the economy and the societies we all form part of. In other words, identifying and managing environmental risks is no longer a luxury but a necessity for corporate financial institutions as well as government agencies watching over our sound economic policies and our well-being. The bad news is that the message is picked up too slowly. The good news is that those who do pick it up are in the room today. The logic of the natural capital management generally and natural capital accounting specifically, and the ability of its coalition members to transform the theory into practice is very powerful. It is essential to help making business part of the solution. Natural capital accounting may sound very dull and boring, but it forms the key to transforming today's business as usual, which is entirely based on accounting for financial risks and returns, too often focused on the short term only. That applies to business as well as central banks, ministries of finance, and the economy. We all know it. What you measure is what you manage. It's eventually all about transitioning. Promoting environmental accounting is already part of the action plan for sustainable finance that the Commission adopted in 2018. The focus was mostly on climate. We're now ready to offer the building blocks to cover natural capital at large. Building on the success of the business and biodiversity community of practices and the platforms, we're now ready to establish a dedicated natural capital accounting platform from next year onwards. In parallel, we hope to soon conclude a live preparatory project to support companies in developing a first version of what I sometimes call EGAP, or in longer version, generally accepted environmental accounting principles. All should support the global uptake of natural capital accounting and related risk management. We have a similar project running that will pilot natural capital accounting for infrastructure investment projects supported through the forthcoming €40 billion InvestEU program. There's now also interest from those developing national environmental accounts to adopt a similar risk management approach, building on the natural capital project. Another result inspired by the business and biodiversity community. All may one day culminate into an international natural capital accounting program covering all principal dimensions of the economy, the products, the projects, the companies, and ultimately the national accounts. If there were to be a Marshall Plan for reorienting the economy, that would be the single most important component. All the rest would follow. That is my reply to your question. With or without such a program, I invite you to unleash all your energy and creativity today and combine your forces to develop big, practical solutions that can help bringing about the change we need. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was sneaky. That was a little bit sneaky, Thomas.
Yes.
You answered it already, but you don't have anything else to add. It's all about accounting for environmental performance in the way businesses work, or do you?
I think so.
Yeah, clear.
I mean, that's
Okay.
what I learned from
Well,
you
it's a
all.
good thing we have a bunch of people in the room who work on this, like the Capitals Coalition and the World Business Council for Sustainable.
We need to find. Actually, I have good news also, because the international accounting community is not necessarily the most involved in the green agenda. I met them last week. There was a board member of the International Accounting Standards Board, so the guys. And after listening to the presentation again, which I steal a lot of your work, he was saying, Tom, we need a figure that can compete with price earnings and that type of thing. So I reassured him that it's in the making and we could have it within a year or two. So that's what we need.
All right,
Thank
the
you.
pressure's on. Thank you, Thomas. All right, we've heard from our distinguished speakers the urgency of the situation, how we need transformational change, how all of these agendas for climate, nature, people are all intertwined. But I think we really need to move from awareness to ambition, to action, and then ultimately to achievement, because we need to see these impacts on the ground.